Hey guys, winter 2022, the anime season has just wrapped up and now we are fully into spring 2022. There's a couple episodes out of a lot of things right now, but I want to talk about winter 2022. I'll be telling you guys my top 5 favorite anime from this past season, and a reminder that I am just a person on the internet and my opinions do not really matter, but these are just the series that I loved the most during last season. Also, I will not be discussing any spoilers for these shows, so no worries about that. Number 5 is Ousama Ranking. This show is, and I don't say this often, I promise you, unlike anything I've ever seen before because of the character that it deals with. Prince Boji is the main character of this show, and he is actually deaf, which is not something we are used to seeing in a whole lot of anime series. There's actually quite a bit of use of sign language in the series with Boji, even though later you come to find out that he can read lips. A lot of people don't know that, so they learn sign language in order to communicate with him. It's worth noting that English Sign Language and American Sign Language is different than Japanese Sign Language, but don't worry because this anime series was actually completely watched over by the Tokyo Foundation for the Deaf. Now in the series, Prince Boji, he is royalty, but unfortunately the people of his kingdom and the people in his own family kind of disgustingly resent him because he is deaf. They find him weird, they find him weak, and this whole series is about Boji's journey to becoming the best king that he can be, even though he's deaf. Ousama Ranking also just has a super interesting art style, very simple palette. It almost looks like it would be a kid's show, but let me tell you, it is not a kid's show. That is the one downside I feel about the show, is that as good as the writing is, as good as the characters are, it does get way more violent than I ever expected it to be. I was kind of surprised about that, but looking back, it makes a little more sense. I also kind of wish the series focused more on Prince Boji. It kept introducing like all of these characters, which are important, and every single one of them was basically vital to the story, but I just ended up loving the show for Prince Boji alone, and I would have liked to see just more and more and more of him. Either way, the show was fantastic and definitely earned a spot in my top 5. Number 4 on my list is Hakozume, also known as Police in a Pod, and this show follows basically 2 female police officers in a prefecture in Japan. It's actually made up. I guess I didn't want to put like a policey detective type show and be like, oh, this is in this prefecture. They kind of want to keep things pretty private. There's actually a statement in front of every episode that's like, all of these scenarios that you see in the show are totally made up, fictional people, so they don't have anything to do with anyone, as you usually see in criminal and police investigation type shows. There have been a couple police shows in anime in the past, but I never really watched any of them, so I picked up Hakozume, and I just love that it follows female officers that work in a koban. A koban is like a police box. It's like a very, very, very small police station. You'll see them all over Japan if you come. Now, I was a little bit worried going into the show, like, oh, are they going to glorify the life of a police officer? That's not really something I'm interested in. I personally think the show does a very good job at following Japanese women police officers. The 2 main characters, Fuji and Kawai, they often will run into criminals who kind of degrade them for being women. So there's aspects of that they have to deal with. I really enjoyed the episodic approach this anime takes in terms of police shows. I will say now that the show, given its theme and that it's about police officers and investigating criminals and such, that there are some topics in this series that could be triggering to people. So if you're sensitive to certain things that you might have seen in shows like CSI or just any kind of police show, even on American TV, do be aware that those things are in this show and it does not hold back. But nonetheless, I really enjoyed this. It was kind of a shock to me that I ended up enjoying it as much as I did. I think it was better than I expected it to be. The next show on my list, man, this should be a given because I love shows like this. It's Slow Loop. Slow Loop is your cute moe girls fishing. Slow Loop follows 2 characters, Hiyori and Koharu. Each one of them have lost a parent, so each of the parents that they have left actually get married and they become stepsisters. This happens in anime, let's not be surprised here. Hiyori has her dad pass away, and her dad used to take her fishing and taught her everything she knows about fishing, and she's kind of struggled to deal with fishing on her own now. But now that her stepsister Koharu has shown interest in fishing, this is just an anime about them going fishing together. Now you might remember there was another fishing anime show called Diary of Verdace at the Breakwater. I think these two are very, very different because Diary of Verdace at the Breakwater mostly dealt with a girl who had a fear of like gross things, like didn't really want to get into fishing at all, initially had no interest. Slow Loop is more about dealing with grief and taking that and having something that you enjoyed with someone who's no longer around and trying to find other people to enjoy it with. The show is actually not that heavy at all. It's mostly just cute girls fishing. It's more of a comedy than anything. It's not really that sad at all, but that is an underlying part of the whole thing, is dealing with grief with both of the characters because one lost her dad and one lost her mom. But as I said, it is light, it is happy, it is fun. This is actually the first anime that I just like finished all the way through in winter 2022. This is totally my thing. Easily number 3 on the list. Number 2 is Akebi no Seirafuku, Akebi's sailor fuku, sailor uniform. I had seen screenshots of this show around the internet, and I had actually seen the manga quite a bit here in Japan at certain shops, and wow, the art style like really just drew me in. The first episode did it all for me. I knew that when I watched the first episode, I was really going to be into this series for the long haul. Komichi Akebi is about to enter middle school, which is going to be a whole new world for her because in elementary school, her elementary school was so small, she was the only girl in her class, and that's actually not that uncommon in Japan. Actually, I know of a school around me that only has 6 kids per grade and just had an opening ceremony and only had 1 new student in the whole entire school. So that's not actually uncommon in Japan at all to have schools that small or just have 1 new student. So Komichi didn't really know how she was going to make friends in middle school, but the thing she was actually most interested in as far as going into middle school was wearing the school uniform for that school. Her mother actually went to the same middle school and wore the sailor fuku, and so she wanted her mother to create her the same sailor fuku so that she could wear it to school. So the whole first episode is her mother getting her measurements and getting the fabric and making the seifuku, and when it's finished it's just perfect, and Komichi loves it and is so excited to go to school. And then when she shows up at school, she realizes that they no longer use sailor uniforms. They actually moved on to blazer style uniforms, which is pretty standard in Japan nowadays, I'd say. So here she is in a completely different styled uniform, a seifuku versus a blazer. And she's almost heartbroken, like, oh no, I can't wear the seifuku that my mother made for me, but she's actually able to wear it. She gets permission to wear it to middle school, and I just found that really cute and wholesome. And then in middle school, she just makes all these friends. I kind of expected her to get bullied because she wears a different uniform than the rest of the school. Like, she wants to be different, she wants to stand out, which is something in Japan that most people don't like to do. So I was really worried that she was gonna go into middle school and get bullied, and it was just gonna be a pain to watch this really sweet girl get bullied. But that doesn't happen at all. Like, it's just, Komichi's just so nice and welcoming to the people around her, and she does make friends. It's just really nice to kind of see a middle school or high school anime where you have this new girl who's kind of strange and she's not getting made fun of the whole time. Like, she actually makes friends. You don't need good writing to be about like bullying. Like, you can write a good series, an interesting series with interesting characters and interesting plot developments each episode without it being like bullying in a school. And the animation is out of this world. Probably the best animated shows in its genre that I have seen. And number 1 on the list is, you've probably guessed it, you're probably either really happy or really, really not happy because everyone thinks it's overrated, but it is Dress Up Darling. And let me tell you, before the anime aired, my friend messaged me, she's like, I'm reading this manga called Dress Up Darling, I really love it, it's gonna get an anime, I think you're gonna love it. And I immediately fell in love with the topic of it. There's this high school boy named Gojo, and he is super into Hina dolls. Hina dolls are an important symbol in Japan. It kind of represents wanting health for young girls, whether that be your daughter or someone else in your family, or just the health of young girls in general. And Gojo is really interested in making them, painting their faces, sewing their costumes. And he actually kind of gets made fun of for this because Hina dolls are something seen as very girly and not something that boys should like. In high school, he meets this girl named Maureen who is a super otaku. She's into anime and she wants to cosplay her favorite character. Under circumstances, they meet and she figures out that he can sew and that he can do makeup. She can't do any of these things at all, so she asks him for help to sew her first cosplay, and through this, they start to grow closer and they keep doing cosplays. And I think the reason why Gojo really likes Marine a lot is because Marine doesn't judge him at all for his girly likes. Like, him liking Hina dolls is perfectly normal to her. And she even says, like, you need to like what you like. It doesn't matter what your gender is. And I think that's why I like Marine a lot as a character, is because she just likes to be herself. And if what she likes is cringe, she doesn't care. And in my own life, it's like, oh, if I like this thing, I can't let anyone know because it's cringy. But no, it's like, just like what you like, it doesn't matter. Every single episode was beautifully animated. It was really cool to see the different cosplays being done in each episode. The comedy is great. People say that they don't like a lot of the fan service aspect of the show. I've been watching anime for decades at this point, and I'm kind of past the point of saying like, oh, this show has fan service, so it's bad. I just don't believe that anymore. It's fun, it's romantic, and I'm actually reading the manga in Japanese right now, which has been really good for my Japanese learning. I'm really excited for season 2. I hope you guys like the show too. Some of you guys are probably sitting there like, oh, you like that piece of garbage, whatever. Anyway guys, that is the list that I came up with, my top 5 for winter 2022. I am so excited for the season. Actually, no. I'm dreading this season. I think I have 18 anime to watch this season, and that is a lot. That's it for this video, guys. Let me know what anime you guys have been watching, what you liked in winter 2022, and tell me what you guys are gonna watch in spring 2022. I watched the first episode the other day of Spy Family, so that's gonna be really good. Guys, if you like this video, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe for more Japan and anime adventures. I hope you guys like videos like this. I didn't really think I was gonna do this video, but I hope you enjoyed it. Alright guys, take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!